Hello again, I'm Victor Colino. This is Give Value to Nature, the MOOC for Teachers, which is a part of this Erasmus Plus project, Valuing Nature. This is the unit 1.5, Ecosystem Degradation and Loss of Biodiversity. Let's go. In the last unit, we said that for many scientists, we are in the Anthropocene, a new geological era in which human beings, we are the main modelers of the planetary changes. We talk about climate change, which is the environmental problem that appears most frequently in the media. But what happens if we look at the planetary boundaries obtained by the Stockholm Resilience Center? Well, we see that climate change is at present a minor problem in relation to others such as biochemical flows or even for biosphere integrity. In other words, according to these planetary boundaries, we currently have a greater problem in relation to biodiversity loss than in relation to climate change. Yes, although the impact of humans on biodiversity started thousands of years ago, in recent decades, the pressure on ecosystems has increased enormously, and this has particularly affected biodiversity. For instance, if we look at the UICN data, we see that virtually all biodiversity groups have a significant proportion of species under some degree of threat. For example, among mammals, 25% of the species are threatened, and in the case of amphibians, this rises to more than 40% of species. Talking about plants, for instance, 5% of this plant species are threatened to some degree. The figures for invertebrates are lower, but we have to take into account that the species assessed under this UCN assessment are very few, and we know that many species of invertebrates are becoming extinct even before being described by science. So the numbers for these not very well-known groups are completely underestimated. But it's important to highlight the following. It's not just species loss the problem. WWF's Living Planet report shows that together with this loss of species, there is also a marked decline in wildlife population. In other words, we have less diversity of life, but at the same time, we also have less life. The loss is greatest in ecologically important areas such as Latin America. We already know that ecosystems work thanks to different species interacting with each other. What happens with the loss of biodiversity? It could be explained like the Jenga game. In this game, in the Jenga, we remove pieces, but the tower remains standing for a while until at a certain point, the number of holes is such that when the last piece is removed, the whole structure falls down. Ecosystems and biodiversity work in a similar way. If the bee species disappear of the globe, then the man would only have 4 years of life left. No more bees, no more pollination, no more plants, no more animals, no more men. This quote that Einstein never said points to the importance that some species have for the rest of life on the planet. Remember the Jenga game. We can remove only one piece, but this piece can make fall down the entire tower. And what about the drivers of this loss of biodiversity? We can start with the indirect drivers. For instance, demographic and sociocultural changes, technological and economic drivers, institutions and governance drivers, and conflict and epidemics can be indirect drivers of this loss of biodiversity. These indirect drivers generate the direct drivers that affect biodiversity. Land and sea use changes, diet exploitation of organisms, climate change, pollution, invasive alien species. And these, all of these direct drivers have consequences for biodiversity. Excessive mortality, under-equipment, fragmentation of populations, or loss of genetic diversity. But if we are the drivers of change, it's also in our hands to reverse that loss. We need to highlight that the power of the human factor. Take, for example, the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. On the left, deforestation. On the right, life. The future is in our hands. We must, and we can, and we must reverse the curve of biodiversity loss. Thank you very much. This is the last unit of the section 1 of this MOOC for teachers. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. See you.